Hi guys, this is Mackie and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. Let me welcome my guest for today's evening. His name is Mr. Shafaat Hashmi, the CEO and the founder of Brandbeat. Welcome. Good evening, Mr. Shafaat. Good to see you on my live session today.
Thank you very much for having me on your show on Maclogs. I think it's a great show, and I hope we can add some value to the show as well.
That would be a great honor because I am having a great person who I really admire, mashallah. So thank you so much for being on my show
Very
as
kind of
well.
you.
That's wonderful to take time out in your busy schedule and give me some time of yours to have an interview of yours for my channel today. Thank you so much.
I'm honored.
Welcome again. So, would you like to say a little few things about yourself for my followers and viewers to know who is Mr. Shafaat Hashmi, and then we can start the topic on our building sustainable brand, which is the topic for today. So, please go ahead.
Briefly, I'm marketing, a brand marketing, business development, sales, and obviously investments expert. I've spent a lot of my time in branding and marketing, both for FMCGs, multinational corporations, and started off with my agency. Done a lot in the real estate sector, launched projects, sold out projects, worked out on investment structures, multiple things. Currently, I hold three key positions. One of them is I'm the founder and CEO for Brandbeat Advertising and Communications, which has 8 offices. Our eighth office has recently been launched in Australia, literally
Wow.
48 hours ago.
Congrats for that.
So, alhamdulillah, in the middle of a pandemic, we still are finding opportunities to kind of grow. And I'm also the chairman for Stalliongates Asset Management, which is based out of Abu Dhabi. And we also are trying to open up a branch office here in Pakistan to bring in foreign direct investments to help the startups ecosystem and the SME ecosystem of Pakistan to fuel some great ideas and foster and propel innovation in this country. Third is that I also have a company which is the name of Teckross. Teckross is based out of the United States, and it's still a baby. I'm trying to work it out and see what we can do in the technology space. So we have some inquiries about some projects, and let's see how it goes. But we'll be looking at our own products and our own services, which we might launch during this year and by next year, inshallah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So it looks like I have got a great person in my show today, which is, I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Mr.
Same here.
Shafat. So nice to meet you. MashaAllah. Okay, let's begin with few questions and answers. In between, we will just make this session a lively session and a little enjoyable session for all my followers and viewers and your followers to enjoy today because this subject and this topic is really important to me and it's very dear to me basically because I am being myself the branding and the communication specialist all my life. For the last 20 years I've been working on the same concepts and working on creating different brands. So that's wonderful to have you today again, once again. Why I'm saying, or why I'm keep on saying that it's great to have you, basically because I feel that I'm meeting someone of great brand value. You add a great value to this. So my first
I'm
question.
honored and truly privileged. It's always good to connect with industry peers because what's happening in these days, it is all about consolidation. It is all
Mhm.
about complementing compared to competing. And when industry peers of the same industry they meet up, we talk about better ideas and we can
Mhm.
bring to our audience the best practices from both of our minds. So let's see how it goes. I'm ready. You can shoot.
Are you ready, sir? That's wonderful. So my first question to you would be, what do you understand by the name or the word brand when it comes to your mind?
Brand, I think there's a very distinct difference between a product and a brand. I mean, I could go on and on about with a 6 hours lecture on what a brand is, but
Okay.
at its core, it's essentially those 6 or 7 P's that we talk about. So all the way from product to pricing to promotion to distribution, people and processes and packaging, everything makes up a brand. But the most important thing, this is so bookish, but honestly, what a brand is, it is a product or a service which fulfills its promise,
Hmm.
definitely brings perceived or intrinsic value, and
Okay.
gives a kind of excitement to its consumer, customer, or whosoever it is. So
Okay.
essentially, it has to be, a business which is recognizable to a nice segment. It could be a niche, it could be very a targeted community, or it could be mass marketed. So essentially, what a brand is about recognition,
Hmm.
delivery, and the trust, because brands always delivers on its promises. It's about commitment and it holds integrity. So if your business has these 4 or 5 components,
Hmm.
it becomes a brand. And this is what the core definition is.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, how would you define or differentiate between a product and a brand? Can the product become a brand?
Of course, I mean, product, I believe, is just a portion of being a brand.
Hmm.
Reason being because product is, I've heard a lot of people, especially once I, 1.5, 2 years ago when I opened up my office here in Pakistan, and I would come up to people and my clients and they would say, I've just started off with my brand on Facebook. I'm like, okay, is it a brand? And they would say, yeah, it's my own brand. And then I would meet up people and they would say, well, I opened up a branded shop. I have opened up a brand. But when you go into that retail shop, it has got all these, all kinds of fancy, funny stuff which has been procured from the open market. And then they just snap a label on it and they think it becomes a brand. Well, it doesn't become a brand like this. Having a Facebook channel and just having, 1,000, 2,000 customers out there doesn't make you a brand. Brand
Okay.
is much more. Brand is
Hmm.
about the right SOPs in place when it comes to processes. It talks about the right value. It talks about money. It talks about innovation. It talks
Hmm.
about the right packaging, the right brand character, a personality which needs to go out. It needs to be very communicative. And
Hmm.
it's about sales. It's about numbers. It is about sell-through rate. It is about putting your product rightly on the shelf, for example, having the right channel partners. So all
Hmm.
this entire business, depends upon branding and marketing. And as you know, marketing then has two sort of sections. I usually divide it into two core segments. One of
Hmm.
them is brand marketing, which helps you position the brand in the minds of the customers. And the
Hmm.
second thing is promotions, which has a direct effect on your sales. So, if you're able to somehow manage these two at the same time and make
Hmm.
sure you're able to create some brand loyal customers, people who come back to you with the repeat purchases and, with the repeat service, and you can retain them, this is what makes the difference between a product and a brand.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, suppose you're running, like as we know, you're running an advertising agency, which is Brandbeat, and I have been working in the advertising agency as well in during the last 15 years, 20 years, you can say that. How do you connect with the client when you want to create a brand for them? What do you do? What is your first step in that?
I mean, I think the first and the foremost thing is the business owners or the entrepreneur's mindset.
Okay.
When you go in to create a brand, the first hurdle is the business owner's mindset, because he has his own vision about his product, out of which he wants to create a brand. And then
Hmm.
he has his own inspirations as well, because he's in the industry, he knows what the competition looks like, he has some kind of market information, and then he has his own personal dreams as well, which he wishes to achieve by creating a certain brand. So for example, we can take an example here that, let's say there's a t-shirt manufacturer and a jeanswear manufacturer, and he wants to create Levi's or something next to Levi's, or next to, let's say, Diesel, or Tommy Hilfiger. So he'll try to benchmark these 3 or 4 big players in the market, and he'll try to position himself over there, and then try to see how he can add value. So he will always sort of try to push the agency to build something on those lines. Now, the
Hmm.
question is, do you have that kind of investment and that kind of retail presence to just open up your shop next to Tommy Hilfiger or next to Diesel? Can you do
Hmm.
that? Do you have the product which is of that quality? Do you have the people and the processes and the TQM in place? And do you
Hmm.
have the right pricing strategy for it? Do you have that innovative fashion thing to it? Have you been part of the right events where all the big fashionistas are present? So if you're not in all those places, I think it's a big mistake to benchmark yourself against someone who's not your direct competitor. You might have to look into another segment. So it is the
Hmm.
mindset. From there we play. Now, majority of the times, the problem with a lot of people is that the agency ultimately, instead of focusing on what the customer wants and what
Hmm.
could have created a distinct differentiation, and could have created a place in the minds of the customer, and we would have won some kind of market share or a share of wallet or a share of mind or a share of voice. What
Mhm.
we end up is getting driven by the business owner's mindset, because he would not really approve what the
Mhm.
customer loves, and he would rather go for something which he loves. And this is where majority of the businesses end up failing.
Direct to the point. You have just spotted on exactly the answer I was looking at. Okay, now as we know that there's something called SMEs, right? There are people who are SMEs and they're just startups. And if I send you someone who has a great brain, a bright mind, who is just qualified from, he just graduated from his university, but he has this mindset that I want to start my own advertising business or advertising agency. I want to start that through my different creativity. But I don't know how to go about it basically, and I send him to you. So how would you help any SME create a brand or help them with their startups? What would your way of looking forward with them or working with them would be?
I think it is a twofold question.
Okay.
First of all, I do not really support youngsters getting out from the university or graduating from a university and going straight into business. I
Okay.
always recommend that they should do a job in an SME first,
Mm-hmm.
within the industry which they aspire,
Mm-hmm.
and then they should move into a corporation or other way around, and see that what a corporation is all about and what the structures are and how a corporation works and what is your real value. Okay,
Okay.
because it helps you open up the connections, and it helps you sit on the right platform to sort of
Sure.
understand the industry, understand what practical business is all about. Now, once these two things are done, and then yes, if you want to come down and then say, okay, I want to open up an agency, my first question would be, what value are you going to add into the advertising industry which already exists? I
Okay.
know a lot of people in the last 3 years who are just calling themselves a digital marketing agency operating from home, one man show. I mean,
Okay.
just because they know, okay, they don't even know how the ad manager works. They
Mm-hmm.
just put up a post. They do a shabby post from one of these online places. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know what communication is. They don't know what colors are. They don't know what promotion we need to put it. They have no idea what competition is doing. They have no idea how to sort of sync with the search engine optimization and other social media optimization methods. And then they call themselves a digital agency. So what happens is, you might be able to fetch a client because of low cost, but it is impossible for you to retain them. And you won't be able to retain them because you would not be giving them sales. You would not be adding revenue for what they are doing digital marketing. So it
Sure.
is imperative that it is good to be self-employed. There's no harm in it. But before becoming self-employed and before becoming and calling yourself an expert, it is good to do a job. Number one. Number two, when you get into the advertising business, it is not only graphic designing or
Okay.
web development or digital marketing. It is
Mm-hmm.
much more than that. It is about communications. You need to have a great grip on content. Okay,
Okay.
you need
Mm-hmm.
to have excellent visualization. You need to
Mm-hmm.
be extremely creative. You need to understand what aesthetics are, what different fonts are, what different layouts are. I mean, 90% of
Mm-hmm.
advertising or creative is basically based on matching the right key visual with the right strap line or the right tagline or the right communication. This is one. Number two, you cannot open up an advertising agency if you have zero idea what media is all about and what is media planning. How do
Sure.
you budget media? How do you allocate? How do you work around? What are TRPs, GRPs, viewership, eyeballs, whatever it is?
Mm-hmm.
All the different measuring parameters. You need to understand that. You need to understand how the personality of the brand is being projected. You need to understand what customer research is, what consumer research is, qualitative, quantitative, different tools, online, offline, primary, secondary. So if you don't understand these things and you haven't really practically done it, and furthermore, if you do not have a clear competitive edge, which these days is actually about integrating technology into the advertising business, it
Mm-hmm.
is definitely, there is no point opening up a corner shop and
Mhm.
just trying to go in with funny long ponytails and a number of bracelets and torn jeans and looking so hip and cool and calling yourself, well, I'm an advertising guy. It doesn't work.
Right.
Advertising is so fun. It's somebody's money, and it's somebody's business, and those people are trusting you with their money and their business and their sell through, and there are jobs, there are employees who can be fired just because you did a shabby campaign and the product didn't sell and someone's business failed.
Okay. Wonderful. I was searching around since I moved to Pakistan. It's been almost 1 year and 6 months now that I couldn't find any brand which has been locally supported or like it's been promoted globally, I would say. Do you think Pakistan lacks as a global brand in any brand which we haven't marketed or promote outside globally?
Our problem here is that majority of the advertising agencies and those who are running advertising agencies, I mean, there are some global names, but the problem is those global agencies are hiring local talent. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
local talent, majority of them, and I'm not literally painting everybody with the same brush because there are some very good agencies and they've done great work over here as well. But
Okay.
at the same time, I think they just cannot think beyond a certain framework, essentially because they don't have international exposure. So a
Okay.
person like yourself or ourselves who have actually looked at what Cartier is doing or what Chanel is doing and what Bentley is doing or what Mercedes is doing and what the big brands are doing and how Apple, for example, advertises their products or what Dell is doing and how Huawei or LG are playing in the electronics market. If we don't understand that, this becomes a problem. I mean, every second oil advertisement starts with a family
Mm-hmm.
cooking food and it ends there. And
Okay.
then they start off with that heart pumping and saying, oh, it's good for your heart. And every second toothpaste ad is all about, doctors' endorsements. I mean, even a little boy and a 6 years old kid knows that this doctor has been paid to come on an advertisement. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much that doctor's endorsement would work anymore. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you get into detergents line, it doesn't simply go out of having that competition between an ordinary soap, an ordinary detergent, and your detergent. I mean, when will we get out of this? And the second thing why we haven't really gone global, one more big reason is because majority of the business owners, and Pakistan is a huge market, because
Yeah.
of higher population, especially in the FMCG sector, you just cannot even fulfill local demand, you know. And because of that, these people, they're just happy locally selling their product. They're sitting in their comfort zone. Unlike many of the Indian products or products from the Philippines and products from different other parts of the world, they are being sold aggressively abroad. I mean, you might remember there is this mineral water, Fiji,
Mm-hmm.
and Fiji
Mm-hmm.
is a small island. So I happened to meet their prime minister once, and I asked him, I was like, listen, the only thing I know your country is because of this mineral water, you know? And he
Okay.
said, we have actually made it a point that through our water and through this bottling and everything, we're going to reach out to the entire world. And they did it in a very great way because they had the risk taking capability and the ability and the vision to go
Mm-hmm.
abroad. But at the same time, how many FMCG brands do you see on Carrefour or Giant or Choitrams or any of these places? How many Pakistani brands are there?
Not
Hardly
many.
any.
But you
So whether
find a little in the US, but made in
even
Pakistan,
in the
the
US, there's
garment
hardly
sector and
any.
stuff.
I mean, you have these little corner Pakistani shops all over
Mm-hmm.
UAE and in Middle
Mm-hmm.
East. And once you go there, well, you can find Ruabza and all the local brands, but
Yeah.
they're not out in the big retail market. Why? Because they're not ready to compete. Either the product quality does not end up, matching the quality which they require, or
Mm-hmm.
otherwise they are just not ready to take the risk in foreign markets. And this is one of the reasons that these people have failed. On the contrary, before I end this question, there are exporters in the textile sector
Mm-hmm.
which are only manufacturers. So be it those people sitting in Cellcoat who are manufacturing for Adidas or Nike or any other big guys
Mm-hmm.
for footballs and God knows how many sports and other
Like
equipments,
FIFA World Cup,
or,
they make balls and stuff, right?
or otherwise it is those local textile manufacturing companies who are just manufacturing for Adibar and so many XYZ brands. You know, those factories have been there for 2 decades or more, has never been able to come up with their own brand.
Mm.
They're only
You know,
order takers. And just because they have been order takers all this time, this is why we have lost a huge chunk of woven business, woven with the kind of shirt I'm wearing or the one you're wearing, all the way to Bangladesh.
mm,
Knitwear somehow still with us, but woven is completely gone. It's out.
mm,
Okay.
my,
And it is essentially because you were only competing in manufacturing. You weren't competing in retail. You weren't competing in building brands. You weren't competing in exporting. And this is where it all went wrong.
when I was in Oman, let me share this experience of mine, of yours, working in an advertising agency myself in Oman, where I used to hear from the local people, they say, think local, be global. Okay, they had that concept of that slogan, think local, be global. So coming back to this concept, the slogan which I've shared with you now, when I came to Pakistan, I asked in the beginning, basically, because I was quite new in terms of the market here. So I came to realize there's no Starbucks, there's no Costa Coffee, there's no coffee brand here which can compete or can be bought from US or Canada, like Tim Hortons and stuff, to Pakistan. But somebody gave me a very funny answer. They say, we do have Starbucks. I said, where? I can't find that in Karachi or in Lahore or in Islamabad. But no, I'm not saying that you can find Starbucks, but they said you can find Starbucks. So I was totally confused that the international brand of Starbucks had turned out to be Starbucks in Pakistan. And it's totally different. Okay, they have just copied the same concept, same styling of the logo. If you see, it looks a bit similar, but it's just the idea taken up, and people have talent here down here, but it's all about copying. It doesn't have the originality. What do you have to say on that?
Mac, I think number one, it is not a brand. It's a bloody product. Some guy
Okay.
just tried to be funny and he just came up with this idea and he thought it's going to sound very cool. So I could put
Okay.
it up. Maybe it's a little marketing gimmick. So it is not
Okay.
a brand. Had it been a brand, it would have got hundreds of franchise,
Mm-hmm.
coffee shops all across Pakistan since it
Mm-hmm.
started off, 5, 6 years ago. That's when I heard about it. Now,
Okay.
when we talk about Starbucks or Costa Coffee, or when we talk about Tim Hortons, for example, I mean, even for those guys to come in the Middle Eastern culture, it was
Mm-hmm.
essentially because people can afford a 30, 40 dirhams or a $10, $12 coffee over there, or bagels or whatever they come up with. Now,
True.
even the menu for Starbucks or Tim Hortons, which is being given out in the United States, is very different compared to what is being offered in the Middle East. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we talk
Mm-hmm.
about Pakistan, they're always looking at it, okay, whether a premium international brand would work here or would not work here, because the market
Mm-hmm.
is very segregated. So yes,
Uh,
we do have like stuff like Coffee Planet, stuff like, I believe Costa is pretty much here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I've seen it somewhere around.
no, it's Gloria
And
Jeans. I didn't find Costa here. I didn't find
I
Costa.
think Gloria Jeans is here. So
Okay.
so some of
Mm-hmm.
these people are here, and they're just doing all right. But the idea is that still we do not have that kind of a corporate morning breakfast culture to have coffee every day, unlike Arabs who are literally addicted to it, or even
Mm-hmm.
some other countries who needs to sip a coffee. I think this is a huge market, and
Mm-hmm.
still those foreign brands today or tomorrow will come. But I'm not very eager, and I'm not even looking forward for these foreign brands to come into Pakistan. I think we are. I mean, look at your budget this year. We are
Mm-hmm.
already into a trade deficit. The last thing we need to do is bring even more foreign brands just to sip bloody coffee. You need to have your local brands, your local coffee, your local tea. I mean, the amount of tea that we import has a huge
Mm-hmm.
impact. I mean, look at the amount of dog food and cat food which is being imported just because we cannot manufacture. So my
Mm-hmm.
advice to the government would be, and to the local entrepreneurs, is that somehow you stop all these luxurious and irrelevant imports, which is hurting our economy. I mean, 10 years down the lane, if we try to hold on to our wishes and our so-called luxurious wish list and start local entrepreneurial system, SME system to prop up, doing local manufacturing in a good price, I think is going to be good and healthy for the economy too.
That's sure. This message should be go. This message of yours should be heard and spread all over Pakistan. It's really important, basically, because for all the entrepreneurs or the corporates or the business people who really want to invest and do something for Pakistan, they really need to explain their ideas in a way that, and they can help revive the economy in Pakistan through their creative ideas. And whatever you mentioned now, this needs to be really being shared with everybody. Okay, my question now is, because of COVID-19, we all are locked up, right? So what I feel and what I find really I find it really confused now. I am a bit confused in this scenario that advertising agencies or the freelancers, because of COVID-19, everyone is working from home and the freelancers are trying to earn money through online projects or online by registering themselves through the websites, which is happening like Fever and different freelancers and stuff. So, what impact does the advertising agency have if the freelancers are going to be working like this way and tapping the projects and they move forward in acquiring the projects for freelancers and advertising agencies are going to have a issue?
I think
Am I
it's a very good question because
okay?
even the advertising agencies these days is essentially picking up business from
Mm-hmm.
Upwork, Fiverr, Elance, and many other websites, as well as through Facebook and through the different communities and different groups. And there is no harm doing it. The thing
Mm-hmm.
is, if there is somebody who is an SME or a startup, okay, they might go to freelancers. It
Okay.
completely depends what their requirement is. I mean, if there's somebody who just wants a $10 logo just to
Mm-hmm.
snap it on their letterhead and make some basic stationery and try to do some legal work just to put stuff out there, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. If you're a business who just needs a very simple basic website, for $100, $200, it is all right to go to a freelancer and get it done. But
Okay.
then if you have some investment in your business, like 5 million rupees or 3.5 million rupees or anything below, more over and above,
Mm-hmm.
$10,000 or $20,000, I think then you definitely need to go out to an agency because you need to build a brand, you need to sell through it, be it product or services, whatever you're selling, because the edge which you receive from an agency, and a good
Mm-hmm.
agency I'm talking about, like ourselves, we
Okay.
give you complete end-to-end solution. We understand what kind of a brand you're looking for, what should be
Mm-hmm.
the brand personality, what are the brand guidelines, then how are we going to do the packaging, what is the competition, what is the research, what kind of
Mm-hmm.
a website UI UX interface you need to come up with, what kind of content you need to come up with. And we can look into a complete 360-degree marketing because we have one team working under one roof, or let's say virtually connected. Now when
Okay.
you go to a freelancer, you actually pick up bits and pieces of people. It is inefficient at the same time because
Yeah.
you hire a web developer from somewhere else, graphic designer from somewhere else, content writer from somewhere else, six
Mm-hmm.
different people. You just put up a team, and then every time you're looking to change something, they're going to charge you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then
Sure.
these people are not marketing experts.
Okay.
Majority of them are tool operators.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some of them are creative, but are they creative enough to create a brand which is market relevant? I mean, anybody can be creative, anybody can come up with a very creative concept. It could be very funny, it could also have a great recall, but does it resonate with your brand mantra or your brand values or with your customers preferences or psychographics,
Mm-hmm.
yes or no? It all goes into testing, and
Sure.
it's all tested in the market. Now this is something which a freelancer won't be able to tell you, but an agency, you have many chances that an agency can actually advise you through this.
True. True. Very true. But how can you make any freelancer feel comfort? Like you can give them comfort zone by saying join the advertising agencies rather than, because all the time I hear from freelancers is I can make more money by doing my own work by tapping the clients. Why should I be on a full-time pay on a full-time pay role if I work for an advertising agency where I'm not going to be getting anything?
It's all right. I think it's a nice ecosystem. If there
Okay.
is a freelancer who's making good money online, and
Mm-hmm.
he can make more than he can earn on a salary, I mean, you know what? Go ahead and do it. It's very good for you.
Mm-hmm.
and they need to understand that, resources are definitely out there.
Mm-hmm.
You might be very lucky because you've got good reviews, but the moment you start losing reviews, and there's only so much you can do once you're working as a freelancer, because you
True.
cannot take up like 100 clients or 20 clients or 30 clients, or you could work on one brand because you're one man show. Okay.
True.
And
True.
similarly, your exposure would also be very limited, so,
Mm-hmm.
and furthermore, your learning stops, especially when you're freelancing. And currently, the advertising business is moving at such a fast pace that just 7 years ago, all those marketeers who knew that, okay, how many column by how many widths, is the print advertisement, it has completely gone irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook APIs and Facebook interface is changing on a regular basis. As you know, WhatsApp is coming up with the transaction in Brazil, as we know, and they tested it before in India. So, how are you going to integrate your advertising through WhatsApp? And how are you going to create certain softwares which can go and work into the APIs of Facebook? Now, that's the stuff that definitely a freelancer can do. So, you need to keep learning. Now, at the same time, even if this guy is taking courses and is trying to learn and relearn and improve their skill set, it is very good. I'm for it. I would love that people make money through freelancing. It is excellent. But a clever way is for any freelancer, it is to do a permanent job with an agency so their
Okay.
own household income is taken care of. And
Mm-hmm.
on top of it, they can take up some time to do freelancing as well, which is their top up money. Now, sometimes, for example, in our company,
Mm-hmm.
I have given the liberty to majority of my staff to do freelancing,
Okay.
but it is done on a certain contract, which
Okay.
is that if they do go and do freelancing and if they pick up a project, let's say from Fiverr, or if they pick up a project from Upwork, so what they do is that they need to be transparent with us and tell us that I have picked up this project.
Mm-hmm.
Now, instead of this guy doing the project himself, you
He
know
needs to share the details with you.
my agency can actually execute it,
True. In a
and this guy
professional
will do
manner.
something else which is more important, instead
Yeah.
of wasting his time on a $10 job. And
True.
similarly, if let's say it's a graphic designer and he has picked up a client which is only looking for a graphic designer, let's say a brand identity and some basic brand guidelines and stationery, you know
Mm.
so what our own graphic designer does, he gets us connected with the client,
Mm-hmm.
and we offer him and we cross sell and upsell him the other services that we have. And our
That's remarkable.
graphic designer makes money on top as well through our commission structure. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, we are also able to procure a client from outside without really having a huge customer acquisition cost.
Remarkable. Remarkable. Really, really. I'm impressed by that. Basically, because that's the answer I was looking at for all the freelancers. I'm sure they would be very happy to hear this, that they can work in on the payroll and do some freelance jobs along with an extra income for their expenses and stuff. So thank you so much. So my last question to wrap up our session today would be, what positive and what advice would you like to give all the Pakistani business owners and the leaders who are running their own businesses or the advertising agencies, o- uh, I would say the owners, like who are running the business in Pakistan? What's the
I
great
think
message?
it is time for them to understand what online business is all about. you know
Okay.
um, I mean, those sitting in let's say in the United States of America, if they haven't moved up to Amazon.com until now, it's time for them to go to Amazon.com and start selling. Retail is out, shopping malls are out, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't seem to be opening up very soon. And same goes with Pakistani businessmen. If they are still relying upon and trying to pressure the government that
Mm-hmm.
open up the retail and open up our offices, I mean, you're not going to achieve anything except for increasing numbers of infectious people around you and in your society. Just because you don't have the brain and the vision to go online, it doesn't mean you start killing people for the sake of your business. We understand that yes, you need to open up your business, you have expenses and expenditures to look at, you need to retain your employees, everything is very good. But what is the cost of it? So I am a strong advocate that until and unless our business owners, SME people, and they do not go online and they do not start today and they do not start now, they are
Mm-hmm.
going to lose big time, you
I
know,
see.
because Every month you will see these smart lockdowns up and down as a routine. Okay,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
10,000, 20,000 cases popped up in one city, in one community, in one village. The government will lock them down for 2 weeks. Okay,
True.
after 2 weeks, once you reopen, okay, do you think you're going to get customers for walking into your retail the next day? No, they won't. Furthermore, my second advice is that if you are into a sector, a business sector which is declining, it is
Mm-hmm.
time for you to actually stop bleeding yourself, put a bandage, take the poison pill, kill that business, go into
Okay.
a different business, go into those sectors which are growing, which is essentially healthcare, ed tech, agri-tech, fintech. These are the areas where you can go. And it is
Mm-hmm.
time for you to invest in those areas, invest into going digital, invest into going online, trying to find innovative solutions, trying to foster entrepreneurship, bring people on board. Let your second generation or the third generation look after your business. Get up
Sure.
from that seat holding your checks and saying, oh, no, 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 no. 10 years ago, I got a website done for 3,000 rupees. To find someone who can do it for 10,000 rupees,
Mm-hmm.
well, you pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys.
True.
And this is the mindset. Until and unless our business community does not changes this mindset, they do not understand how we need to progress and we need to be more progressive. Is going to be great. And I hope they also trust good marketeers, good advertising agencies, trust them, give the brand to the specialist, let the specialist do the job. When you become the doctor yourself and try to do self-medication, there are
Mm-hmm.
99% you're going to damage yourself.
It's going to be a disaster for sure. Thank you, Mr. Shafat. It's really honor of mine to have you today for my session, and I'm sure you were able to answer many questions of mine, and I'm sure many people, all my followers, might have got the answers what they might be looking at related to brand and creating a branding system, which they really need to understand from you. Thank you so much once again for finding a time to be
It's
my
my
guest
pleasure.
speaker
Thank you very
today.
much. Such an honor to be
So
with you. Looking forward to reconnecting.
that's going to be my great privilege to work with you, inshallah, and you're going to be helping me out for sure. Am I right in that saying that? We hope we
We
can
are
grow.
around, we are around to help anybody and everybody. This is why we have
Thank,
a in Pakistan, just to help our SMEs, empower them, our business owners, professionals, self-employed, as well as startups. This is why I'm here. It's not about making money. I mean, we make a lot of money with foreign clients. We don't make a lot of money here, but
yeah,
our sole purpose is to actually support and help build brands and create unicorns out of this country from every different sector.
definitely. And I'm very excited to be working with you in future for sure. Basically, because I look up to you really as a great model
I'm
and a
honored and I'm
great
truly
role
humbled.
model and a great mentor, I would say, in the advertising agencies and stuff. So thank you so much once again. A small shout out to Macbox for my followers. Would you like to say something for that?
Sorry?
Would you like to say a small shout out for my channel, if you can say to all your followers who would like to
Yeah,
connect
absolutely.
with me on that?
I think you're doing a great job. I love the platform. You're very switched on, a very good grip on your subject. And it is always great to connect, because this is what it's all about. It's a platform where you can, share your ideas, share your best practices. This is the time when we
Mhm.
come together as a community through platforms like MacLogs and, share the best practices, share knowledge, and, help each other out, navigate through this hazy and uncertain situation that we all have in front of us.
True.
So,
So just a small favor, do share my channel, Mac Vlogs, in your circle, your colleagues, your friends, circles, and groups. That would be wonderful for me to lift my confidence that am I doing a great job. So that would help me in connecting and bringing down much more great speakers for my sessions, for my live sessions. Thank you so much once again to have you, and hope to see you in Karachi, or if I come down to Lahore, I would definitely be giving
well,
you a
see
bump.
you whenever the flights are open in Pakistan or abroad. Let's see what happens. Thank you.
Sure, definitely. Thank you so much once again. So everyone, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like Mac Vlogs. I hope you have enjoyed today's session, and it was really a great moment for me to have Mr. Shafat for my session. Thank you so much. See you on my upcoming sessions as well. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a wonderful